Many communities are facing pressure on their water supply, from industrial growth and evolving regulations to managing long-term risk. How can these communities scale water reuse strategically? To explore that, I talked with Greta Zornes, an expert who works at the intersection of planning, regulation, and operations, helping communities build durable, long-term water reuse programs. Greta shared how data center development is sparking new conversations around reuse, how communities can prepare, and how regulations are evolving. Check it out.
So this has been such an interesting space for us over the last few years. So particularly in a few hot areas like the Midwest and in Texas, we're seeing a lot of clients who weren't necessarily thinking about reuse, coming to the table, coming to us saying, hey, we think we need to do reuse because these data center clients are asking us for recycled water. So places like the city of Columbus, Ohio, other places in the upper Midwest, places where they really hadn't thought about reuse previously, suddenly we're looking for a reuse master plan or some kind of a reuse study to figure out, should they be building out a purple pipe non-potable system for these data center clients?
What, in your opinion, makes a community reuse ready when a large data center development arrives?
So there are a lot of elements to providing recycled water to a data center, but a few of the simple ones are the quality of the wastewater. But if you have a high quality effluent, that is the most important starting place. And then the actual physical location of the data center as compared to the wastewater treatment plant is really important.
I know there's a lot of concern about the impact of industrial growth or data center development on water supplies. How can industrial leaders and utilities partner to try to expand reuse without straining drinking water supplies?
Yeah, I think recycled water is a really important part of data center water use and making sure that data centers are successful as they enter communities. They do need water for cooling, and they do typically need substantial amounts. Sometimes it varies depending on the data center. Sometimes they have a consistent need throughout the year. Sometimes they have very peaky demands. So it can make it really hard for municipalities to plan whether that's a potable water or a recycled water that they're providing them. But what we are seeing, I would say, is an unprecedented amount of conversation between especially the large data centers, the hyperscalers. We're seeing those folks talking to municipalities, trying to figure out how to better connect with them. And in fact, we're currently working on a project with the Water Reuse Association that's going to do exactly that, to try to better connect communities who have recycled water or who can provide recycled water to data centers or to other industrial end users who are looking for recycled water.
Greta, I know you're observing the development of the water reuse market, water reuse regulations around the country, around the world. When it comes to the US, how do you see water reuse regulations taking shape nationwide or region by region? What trends are you observing?
So the regulations are a very interesting space in the reuse world. They are different state to state, which is really challenging for our teams a lot of times, but it's something that we are used to navigating. So we're actually entering states now with some of our data center clients that don't have any reuse regulations. So not even regulations for a purple pipe type non-potable system. So sometimes what we're having to do is help the state, in addition to helping our clients implement these systems and working with municipalities to do that, we're also having to help the state in parallel figure out a permitting pathway to get there when it comes to permitting these systems.
I know you and your team have been strong advocates for master planning. Why do you see master planning as being essential for successful water reuse programs?
So that is a really good question. And we encourage our clients to do master plans of some sort before making decisions about recycled water investment. So it's important to understand your community's water supplies and future water supplies and future demands as much as possible, especially if there's a gap and you see that you're not going to have enough supplies in 10, 20 years for either economic development or just community growth. You can start really making decisions about the percentage of your water supply portfolio that you want to come from recycled water. Now, once you do that, then you have to decide how much of that is non-potable recycled water and how much of it is potentially potable.
What risks do organizations face when water reuse is approached on a project-by-project basis instead of strategically?
One is just that over-allocation of non-potable recycled water. It's really important to take the time and to do the planning so that you allocate the right amount of recycled water for your community for the future.
Greta, as you look to the future of water reuse, what excites you?
It's really exciting to see all the attention that recycled water is getting now and the ask for these non-potable systems. But what it's doing is it's driving communities to really look at reuse and think about, do they need recycled water in the future? And maybe that's actually maybe that's potable reuse. Maybe that's indirect potable reuse or direct potable reuse. And so to me, it's been a really exciting time to just see recycled water become a mainstream conversation throughout the country. So in places where I never expected to work, I didn't expect to spend time in Kansas working on potable reuse projects, and now we are. So it's a really exciting time, and I could say the same about Ohio and many other places in the Midwest where we're evaluating recycled water for communities.
Greta, thank you for being here. It has been a pleasure to speak with you today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it.